going to show you what happens when you fill out the form to have an estimate sent or proposal to show what solar will look like on your place. So I'm just going to take you through the steps that I do to design a system based on the information that I have, and I'll show you where I get it. So I just picked a random address here in Fredericton. I type it in. We're going to use 141 Goodine Street in Fredericton. This actually references the Canada Post. So I've got this home here. It is, I think, near Lincoln. Yeah, it's in Lincoln. So we've got a nice roof. Handpicked this, obviously. I'm able to measure your roof space here with this open solar that I use. And I'm going to hit create project on that. What I like to do is I just want to make sure, because sometimes it's not always correct, and I get people's houses wrong. So I actually use GONB, which is Service New Brunswick's address database, and I type it in here, and I just make sure that what I see on my system is the same as what I see on here. So I'm looking at 141, and then I just kind of check the, I've got a little shed in the background, and it's the 1, 2, 3rd, 4th house from the left, and I'm just making sure that that's going to agree with this system here. Let's see here. So I don't know who 141 Goodine Street is, but we're going to do a design on your home. So what's happened now is I actually have a 3D view from LiDAR data that's available in Fredericton. I'm going to change that back for a second just to make it easier to look at. But it's great because now I can find out your roof pitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, that's the right house. It's the right color house as well, right color roof. So I'll switch it back to 3D just for the sake. So when I ask for your information, I'm asking for your roof pitch, your address, your estimated power bill. So a lot of people don't know how much the power bill is. And I'll show you what I do with that information. So throughout the run of a year, we're going to say that this person uses 15,000 kilowatt hours a year. And when you just give me your annual, it just builds this curve here and assumes that you're using more electricity in the summer because of air conditioning. And then you see it uses some in January and February. But at the end of the day, I really only, you can send me your individual ones. Like once we drill down and I have a second contact with the customer, I'll ask for their monthly, and then it'll change this curve. But at the end of the day, we're looking at a net metered project to create as much electricity as you use, so through the run of a year, and then it zeroes out at the end of March. So we'll use the annual for 15,000, and then we'll go back over the design. I've got a bunch of different solar panels that I use. I've got some favorites. I really don't know what solar panel I'm going to put on your home until I come and actually measure the roof. So we're gonna use let's see here, one of my favorites, the new LR8s from Longi, and we'll probably use a 450. They're black on black. They look great. I'll just use that just to get started on here. Let's do the 500. Sorry, I think they make it. Okay, so then I'm going to click Add Panels. And what I can do is it actually uses the measurements that we have now, and I can just start putting panels on. I don't have any chimneys to deal with here. I don't have any stink pipes, plumbing vents. Based on what I can see here, these are going to fit, but it might actually be better for me, based on the measurements that I see here, for me to put like a longer one on, a longer panel. So maybe I'll do the Longi 610s, because I know that they're 94 inches long. So this is what I'm doing when I look at your home. And then something else, here's what I'm going to do as well. We're just going to see. So see how that panel fits better. So sometimes I'll do 3 rows of panels, and sometimes I'll do 2 rows of panels. I'm trying to maximize the space from your peak your gutter. And so this, we've got 610 watt Longi bifacial panels on there right now. Just because I feel they're going to fit the roof, I'm assuming this number is around 200 inches top to bottom. I really don't know until I come and measure it, just going off the data that I have without rolling a truck, right? So in this case, we're making 108% of the customer's power bill, which in my opinion is too much, because a few things happen. This year we made more power than we thought we would. We never want to overproduce through the run of a year, because MB Power will not let you roll the credits past the end of March. So if nothing's changing with this customer, if they're not getting a hot tub, if no kids are coming into the house or additional people in the house, if their power bill is going to stay relatively the same, we're going to knock a few panels off, because we don't need that production anymore. So now on the left side, you're going to see the production numbers, or the offset, we call it, go to 98%. So we've got 12.2 kilowatts, which will fit great on a 200 amp panel. 98% of our power bill should be covered throughout the run of a year. So what I haven't done yet is spec an inverter. So now I'm going to add an inverter on here, and that's a 12.2 kilowatt DC power. I'm probably going to do a 10 kilowatt AC inverter, and I'll use Solus. This is probably the most popular inverter that we do, and it's actually going to calculate the efficiency numbers of the inverter into the proposal. And what I'll do too is I'll string it, so this just shows how many panels we have on a string. We can do up to 4 different channels on this Solus inverter, so I'm just going to use 3 of them in this case, because and it'll actually change your numbers a little bit, as you will see. So I'll do 6, 6, and 7. A little laggy here. Trying to get rid of that 0 string. So as I make a change on here, it's actually recalculating to show what the numbers have changed to. So I might string a system a little bit different if I think a part of the array is going to be shaded by trees, but based on what I can see on the aerial photos and looking here, this tree here doesn't look like it's going to be big enough to do anything. Looks like that's probably the springtime. So yeah, so I'm at 99% of this customer's bill, and as long as there's no surprises with this job, no electricals, I don't have a fuse box or something like that, I've got them set to $2.55 a watt, taxes in. I've also assumed that they're going to get the Total Home Energy Savings Program, which is listed here, and also I assume that they're going to be able to get the interest-free loan from the government, which has ended today. But some customers have been grandfathered in, so we're just going to use that for the sake of this example. So I'll leave it in 3D view, and I'm just going to hit save on that. And now I'm going to show you what I would send to a customer. A lot of stuff is a lot of back end stuff has gone on with calculations and templating and whatnot, and this is what should be spit out. So we've got a 12.2 kilowatt DC size system. The AC size is 10 kilowatt inverter, which we would run at 9.6 on a 200 amp panel. The net system cost is the cost of the system tax, assuming you don't have, or assuming you put the grant money against the loan. So, and this is your monthly payment, so $239. The lifetime system, the lifetime of the system we assume is 30 years, 30-year warranty on panels typically. So we just assume that they might go longer, probably will, but that's just the number that we use. So, okay, so if I do multiple systems, you'll see them listed here. This is a 20-panel system, and I've sized it based on not the size of the roof. Some people will build this, they'll just fill the roof with solar. If you don't have the power bill, if you don't need the energy, you will be wasting your money. If you build a system bigger than what you need. If it's something you're going to do in the future, add electric car, add hot tub, then oversize it for sure. But if nothing's changing, there's no benefit. So $239 a month for 10 years is what this assumes, because we've got it highlighted on the Canada Greener Homes loan. If you select cash, it's just going to show you what it's going to cost you out of pocket. So this shows that we're going to make 14,863 kilowatt hours a year. Remember, we put 15,000 in, so it's going to be close to that. I've left it's okay to leave a little buffer, because some years we make more power than what we expect. I always try to underpromise and over-deliver on the power. I don't know what the weather's going to do. This year was great. August was 13% higher than what we thought. So the system performance graph, the yellow is your generation. So this is your daily generation on average. In May, this system assumes it should make almost 60 kilowatt hours a day. So some days you might make 80, some days you might make 20, depending on the sun. You see December and January, not a whole lot. Overcast days, short days, the days are longest in the summer. Now this gray graph in the background is your consumption. If you give me your monthly consumption, I'll be able to, it'll change what that gray graph looks like. Right now it's just using a profile that assumes a lot of air conditioning and then heating in the end of the year, so the start of the year and the end of the year. So, excuse me, that's one of my favorite graphs, because it can kind of show you when you're going to have $0 power bills. So what would happen here? January, you'd be half of what your power bill typically would be. February, you'd be getting close to a $0 bill. March, you're going to make more power than what you consume, so you're going to start stashing it. You're going to hold it as a credit with MB Power. You're going to stash it in April. You're going to stash it in May, June, July. It looks like, according to this, in August, you're going to start using more power than you've generated. This typically happens in October, so right around this time of year, because we're starting to use some heat. And what happens here is you've collected this power in the summertime, and you're going to start using it in the wintertime. And ideally, by the end of March, you roll in with no money owing or no credits owing to you, and you're not having any, you're not sitting on any either. So that's the goal. That's why we try to get near 100%. So this is kind of what happens when you're making extra sun. The solar power is being generated, it's feeding your house, and the rest of it's going to the grid. If it's a cloudy day, you're feeding your home with whatever the solar's making, and the rest of it's coming from the grid to feed your home. And at nighttime, there's no solar, so it just comes straight from the grid, which you can put that power back the next day. You're still charged tax on the power that you use at nighttime from MB Power, something to keep in mind. So down here, it just kind of shows how much you'll save and when you start to break even. So there is a detailed financial table for you really math savvy guys who really want to look at this, and you can drill down and see how much you're going to be paying up front, or when you're going to start breaking even. So it's a 10-year loan. After the 10 years, you've got 20 years left on your system. That's when you're really making some gravy, right? So in this case, I like this little graph, the electricity bill savings. It shows your, this is just your first year. So keep in mind, it assumes that the power rate is the same every year, or just on this one. So if the power rate goes up 10%, your second year monthly bill savings will be different, right? So your old bill, in this customer's case, was $228. Their new bill from MB Power, $39 is what it's estimating. So you say, well, Rudy, you said you're going to get a $0 bill. You're going to have a service fee. That's the fee that MB Power charges you to be hooked to the grid. You're going to have to pay tax on that service fee. You may have water tank rental. You may have a dusk to dawn rental. You may also have, you are going to have to pay tax on the electricity that you use from MB Power. So nighttime, crappy days when your solar's not making more. So there's times when you're going to be pulling from the grid, and they do tax you on that power. It's only 5% right now. So to get a $0 bill, you're going to have your $27 or $30 a month service fee. plus tax, and then you're going to have to pay tax. The best power bills I'm seeing are around $40. So now this big piece, monthly payment. Well, so this is telling me that I'm going to have a monthly payment of $239, and I'm going to have my power bill. So $239 plus my power bill of $39. So I'm paying $276, right? Well, I was paying $228. So guess what? We put a system in, your borrowed money interest free on it, and now you're paying $50 more a month. So for this system, but you're gonna have to pay it for 10 years. So 50 times 12 every year, you're gonna have to pay $600 to have this on your house, assuming the power rates don't. This is just your first year savings. Keep that in mind. That's assuming the power rates stay the same where we're at, right? So you're gonna pay $600 a month over 10 years, $6,000 on top of what you would have been paying if the power rates stayed exactly the same for the 10 years. So in this case, this customer's going to have to eat $50 a month. This is not using any new rates that have been proposed. By the way, there's a 4.75% yesterday that they said that they would be trying to get in April. But at the end of the 10 years, you are no longer paying an extra $50 a month. You've paid for your system, and now you've got 20 years left on the life of your system, and that's when the real savings happens. So in this case, this system is showing a payback of 11 years. The reality is it's probably it's probably less than that, because we know what our power rates have been doing. And if we look at the projects that NB Power has proposed, like new generating plant over in Tantramar, all these refurbishments that we have to do, the Mactaquac Dam is, I think the latest number was 10 billion, which is 10 1,000 millions. It's a lot. Anyways, there's not really anything that's giving us hope that our power bills are going to be going down. So on here, I assume a 4% increase in energy costs every year. Last year we had a 9.7% increase. The year before that it was a 13 and change. This year they're actually only asking for a 4.75, which is a lot less than I thought. So down here, I've got the energy price, which is 16 cents. It's actually a little bit less than that, but with tax, it's closest to 16 cents. So it just doesn't show the extra decimals. It's 1588 or something like that. And then your service charge is on there, and then there's the variance account, which is NB Power add on or subtractor based on how many storms we had and how much maintenance we had to do to the lines. Total system price includes your HST. The Total Home Energy Savings Program, they are paying, the province, and NB Power is paying $200 per kilowatt, so that is $2,440. Is based on the DC wattage. So you've got 12.2 times 200, and that's what it comes out to. So your net system cost, assuming you take this number here, your grant, which comes in a check form, and put it on your loan. Most people aren't going to do that because it's an interest-free loan. You're going to put that somewhere else and save even more money. Or you're just going to blow it on something. I don't know. So there's some other stats here about how much just help the environment. So you can drill down into these. There's a couple little hyperlinks on here that you can click. Detailed savings table, which is cool. It shows you here. These are the months that it's going to overproduce for you. All the details are in there. It's pretty good. It saves me doing a ton of spreadsheet work for each job. It's all pre-configured for me. So I just send this off to my customers, and then you never hear from me again unless you want to. So on these proposals, if you select accept proposal and I send it to you, that doesn't do anything. All it does is it makes you, it just sends me a message that says, hey, the customer accepted your proposal. You don't have to do anything. I'll reach out to you. It just tells me that you're serious. So I'll never sell a system unless I'm actually on your roof and measuring things and looking at your electrical panel, sticking my head in your attic and doing all these things, just because I think it's important to have boots on the ground. Typically, when I do a proposal and do a site visit, I'll come back and I'll measure after measuring your roof, and I'll change the panels that I have on there. Maybe a customer wants an all black panel and I can't get the right size and what they would like. So I end up changing the panel size or changing the location of an inverter or something like that. Typically, I'm able to see where the customer has their power come in. So in this case, it looks like it's underground power to this pole here. Probably, and there's a garage in here, so maybe the customer wants it in the garage. Actually, inverters bleed off a little extra heat, so sometimes that's nice to keep it inside the home instead of outside, especially in the winter. But yeah, clicking accept the proposal just causes me to come and visit you if you're serious, and we just look at things and take some measurements and then change the design. I redesign it, send it back to you. Typically, the customer will start the energy audit and go from there. So anyways, I thought I would just make this little video to show you what it looks like from my point of view when you fill out that form, and this is what I send you. If you don't do anything with it ever again, you probably won't hear from me again. I don't have the time to follow up with every proposal that we send out unless you reach out to me. So don't think that when you fill out the form that I'm going to heckle you. So anyway, thanks for watching.